They wound up removing the tumor out of my rectum, part of my left lung. They pulled out my appendix because it was wrapped in cancer and pulling it down into the tumor to make it bigger. They took out 32 lymph nodes, shaved off part of my prostate, gave me a partial vasectomy, and then peeled layer after layer off of my bladder, kind of like you would an onion. Then sewed me back up and told me I was good to go. So here I sit. All of a sudden it started to hurt. Laying there in the bed, and I got all these tubes and hoses coming out of my body, and all of a sudden I got a part of my intestines hanging out with the ileostomy bag. Then the doc came in and he says, "Got good news." He says, "We got 100% clear margins." It's pretty unheard of. Telling Dr. Martin about it, he says, no, you know, upper 80s, you know, that's pretty good margins. And he says, "Let me show you this piece of paper." He goes, "Wow, you got 100% clear margins." Now I got about 2 months that I can't do anything. They had to let my body heal before they could do chemo. First part of September, I go back up to Kalispell, had another colonoscopy. They had to do a leak test on me to make sure that everything held together, because where that tumor was, it was so low that you've got to have 3 inches of usable rectum. Well, I was at like 3 1/8, and they couldn't give me 100% that we could reverse the bag. So that day they go in, came out, and they says, "Yep, you passed the leak test, everything's gonna work, we can put you back together." The following week they put a port in me, had 16 weeks of chemo, and it's every other week. So I go in on Monday, hook me up 8:30, 9 o'clock to the machine, and I'd get finished about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But I wasn't done. They come over and got a fanny pack with more chemo in it, strap it to you and hook you up and send you on your way. Well, it's got a little timer on it, and if you do the math, you can figure out how much longer until you can get that fanny pack off. It was usually about 10 o'clock on Wednesday. So for 2.5 days, I got chemo, and that just kicked my butt. That second time, it was definitely the lowest point of the whole treatment. By then, I was down to about 120 pounds. My eyes were sunk in the back of my head. You know, there wasn't much life. It was pretty dark, and they had to reverse that bag, and I was relearning how to poop. It's different. For 2 months, everything I ate came out in that bag. One night I was in so much pain, and it was about the 10th time I'd been up in the middle of the night. I just laid there on the floor. I kind of looked up to the sky and I says, "Okay, God, if this is the way that life's gonna be, end it. Be done now. You know, I can't go forward like this." That was the lowest of the low. Next day I woke up, I had no pain. He took the pain away. The next few weeks, chemo, life was good. You know, it started working. All of a sudden I started getting stronger and moving more. My mind started getting better, because a guy like me is meant to be in motion. Well, my dad poked and prodded me a little bit. He says, "Hey, I could really use some help." So I says, "I'm good for Thursday and Friday." Okay. The following Monday I had chemo again, but all of a sudden my body's moving again. You know, you're back in motion. I finished up on New Year's Eve. That was a pretty good way to start the new year. It's not that you're cured, but once you're stage 4 and you're that far along, they can never call you cured, but they can tell you you're in remission. They like to keep tabs on me. It started out quite regularly, you know, but now it has subsided to once a year I just go up and see everybody. And it takes a whole bunch of people to make things happen. Everybody has something different, you know, whether it's your faith, whether it's a support group, there's help for you. I looked over at my 3 kids. They didn't know why I was sick. My youngest, he couldn't figure out why I had a gremlin in my butt, and he was scared he was going to come out and get him in the middle of the night. I probably should have done a little better explaining that to him, but you got to use laughter. You got to use something to heal. If you're down, go turn on a movie that makes you feel happy. Go turn on music that makes you happy. It can totally change your mood. You know, whatever it is, you got to find it.